Okay, so today we wanted to talk about how to reduce your ballroom dance expenses. We're gonna look at three scenarios, right? We wanna talk about young amateur couples and kids and youth dancers. We want to talk about adult dancers, social dancers. Maybe you're just dancing once in a while, or maybe more like every week, or maybe twice a week. And then we're going to talk about dedicated pro-am students, right? You would have a professional teacher and you would be more serious or a little bit less serious, or you have different kind of goals. You want to win world championship, or you want to win your local event, or you want to just dance better, and we're going to look at it from financial point of view, and how can we make it more efficient and more productive so you can enjoy more and but still benefit the most, right? Kind of have the most bang for your buck, so to say, right? My name is Carlos, and I'm talking today with Oreste, who is many times champion of different kind of competitions. I wrote it down here of German Open in Germany, Tokyo in Japan, Spanish Open in Spain. I'm sure many Italian competitions, probably many national titles, and also in USA, right? Professional ballroom champion, Dance Vision National Professional Ballroom Champion. Also, he's the owner of Dance Discover brand, right? And maybe you can tell a bit more about at the end. And we're just good friends from a long time ago when I was dancing back in Europe, and he was also dancing back in Europe, and we would meet sometimes in Moscow, sometimes in Stuttgart, sometimes in Platidaro in Spain, and I don't know, check the notes
We
and
have
kind of
done
have a good
many. In
time,
Italy also,
compete against each other in
I
Italy. Yeah,
remember you used to come to Italy as well.
yeah, and in Italy as well. And I think we kind of good rapport, and I feel like we look at the dance world in a similar way. So we wanted to help people to have more fun, enjoy more, learn better, and more efficient, right? And maybe you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, no, I mean that's first of all, thank you for doing this. I think it's very nice, and we have been surely we've done some mistakes ourselves throughout the journey, right? And we did for sure at some point wasted some money or not properly, decided how to use them, right? So why not to share with somebody else that maybe has the time to understand and to prevent some bad mistake to happen rather than finding yourself like we were always with. I remember I used to do $5, €5 a time gasoline on my car because I couldn't put more than that because I had to do the
Mhm.
lessons, and I would always struggle. Without people nowadays don't have to do that. There are smart ways to do it good, and hopefully today we can inspire someone with that.
Yeah, very nice. So maybe let's start with the first one, right? Let's say the young amateur couple, the kids, let's say 8 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, they want to dance better, they want to improve. Like, what do you think were your mistakes or your lessons or your takeaways throughout your career that can
Right.
help people?
Well, one thing that, in a way, it's applies to all the situation, to every kind of dancer, but possibly is
Hmm.
the most important thing that I think at every level must know. You need to have a little bit of time to make clarity of what do you want from this experience. Okay. Now, when you are a kid, of course, it's difficult to figure it out. So it's important, I think, that the parents of the kids have a good communication with the teacher so that they can establish some good trust, and they can say, okay, what do I expect from this journey? What do I want? In this case would be the parents, right, with the teachers. A lot of time I see that the communication maybe is not the best between the parents and the teachers, and then it gets a little bit random. Like, okay, let's go to all competitions, let's go to all camps, let's go to all professionals, coaches that can see us. Let's do a little bit of everything. And I think that people then get the impression that the more I do, the better. And in one hand, maybe this is true, but without a structure, I think you end up wasting a lot of money.
Hmm. So number one, you need to have a structure, a plan, right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
can definitely relate to that, especially in the earlier We did have like a lot of group classes. I think that's important. Attend group classes, join a club if you're a kid, right? If you can in your city, right? Join environment that is, you know, helping you become a better dancer. That's very important. Don't kind of just dance alone, somewhere. If you just come here and you need to practice yourself, like we talk about expenses, right? Like you said, yeah, do everything, but you also need to be digesting the information yourself. Even, at a young age, you need to try to get better. Like you need to learn essentially at some point to get better at teaching yourself, right?
That's right. That's one of the skill. Actually, you touch a very important point. I think personally, I think I was pretty good at that because I always wanted to be a teacher. So right now I find myself in the position where I actually want to be. Mm-hmm. And when I was a kid, I kind of felt I wanted to teach already, but of course I wouldn't teach anybody and nobody would give me the authority to teach them. Mm-hmm. So I would do this exercise on myself. It can be dangerous. So it's important to always have a guide that can, in a way, check your progress to avoid that you start do some bad stuff on yourself. Mm-hmm. On many point of view, could be dangerous on a physical level and could also be just that you think you're doing something right, but instead it's not that right. Maybe you feel good, but it doesn't look good. I mean, all these kind of things. So you do need anyway a figure, especially when you're young. You do need, I would suggest my opinions of one figure. You can have some guest coaches here and there, but you need one mentor that stays behind you and can, that you can feel free to talk about everything you want. And this teacher also must have the freedom to take you by the ears and nobody's going to complain about it because that's your job. As a teacher, you should just say, bam, wrong, other direction. That's it. Don't like that, And I see nowadays also, in relation to what you say, right? Then when the figure of the mentor is missing, mm-hmm. then you cannot do all these little things, I think, that can let you save money. Mm-hmm. Because then what you suggested, right? Teach a little bit yourself. Yes, but there must be somebody that guides that in a way.
Yeah,
Not
of course.
Through a bunch of lessons, but can see you when you train, can give you a look. There is a project behind. So the teacher, most of the time, honestly, I'm all the teacher that teaches kids. Now, I don't want to maybe sound too good or something, but I think that every teacher is very passionate about raising the kids. I don't think we all have a little soul, and we all remember ourselves being kids. So the teacher is always very willing to, to maybe do a couple of lessons less and follow the process of the kid during practice. If you close yourself in the studio after one lesson, you stay other 3-4 hours to practice what you learned. I mean, the teacher is the first one and he's going to stand up and give you some extra tip when he can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's what I meant. Like teach yourself, meaning that you would take the material. I remember my coach used to say, okay, for every 1 hour, you need to do like 4 hours of your own work, right? So this means that you would, it's enormous amount of just, repetition and learning and feeling, right? That's what I meant. We kind of our talk today to, reduce the expenses, and especially when you're young, you just need to put in a lot of repetition. Obviously, like you said, don't do too much, or, you need to check in with your teacher so you don't hurt yourself, but you need to put in the repetitions, right?
Yes. I think we were lucky, like if we should do this conversation also, like if it's kids in the US, kids in Europe, the situation is pretty different. Here in the US, I feel, at least where I live in California, there is overall a very good wellness in a sense of wealth, in a sense of health, thank God, and also a little bit following the capitalistic kind of society, right? I feel that there is a tendency in thinking the more I invest, the more I will have a return. But that's really not the case. Mm-hmm. Like I feel, at least in my case, but I'm pretty sure that yours is the same. Like we didn't even have the finance to do this much, as I see happening here often. But because of that, I'm sure for you it's the same. I was staying easy 8 hours a day at the studio, like easy. I would go
Mhm.
out from school and go to the studio. And then when I finished school and I dropped university, of course, that was already adult, then I would say even more. So like was just we were forced to do that. And in a way, we ended up making it even spending less. Again, in this case, the point is not how good we were, that we made it, whatever, no matter what is, I guess
Mhm.
it's common to many dancers. We were not, I don't think we were particularly special. Our generation, a
Mhm.
lot was more like us, I think. But nowadays, again, it's important to understand that the balance, what you say, between the lessons you take and then the time you practice, especially when you're a kid, is very important. And, the rounds in group with other kids, environment, as you said in the beginning, that motivates a group of people to work hard, that
Mhm.
also can make a big difference.
Yeah. I think, yeah, for kids, right? I think, I mean, like you said, not that just the kids, but in general, you want to think of just the, let's say in a year, how much you are willing to spend on the dancing, right? Everybody have a different budget. That's okay, and
Right.
then you just kind of like stick to the plan or stick to the structure, like you say. Sometimes I think, yeah, it needs to be more laid out and, kind of talked about, this month we spend learning this, and then we're going to go to this competition in the end. And this is our training process, which finishes with this competition, and then it's a little bit more easy, and then maybe a little bit harder, like you
Yeah.
said. So it's not like chaotic, let's do this a little bit, and then you're like moving here and there and here and there, and the end you don't have a clear vision, right?
Yeah, and then you ended up still doing stuff because, of
Mhm.
course, you want to be present, and the parents, the kids, they want to be present throughout the season. And then what happens? You just end up, you even lose count of what you spend. In a way, just
Mhm.
not having is literally, when we talk about finance and money, you really have to take the dancing as a little business, even for
Mhm.
kids. Meaning, it must be approached that way. Now, you can take it from different angles, like you were mentioning before, that you can start with how much you're willing to spend, and
Mhm.
then from there kind of come out with a plan. But depends on the situation. If a person don't like this way, they can
Mhm.
actually start with the other way. They can start, what do I want to achieve this season, or what kind of experience I want my kids to have. That it might be something very silly, but it's possible that actually it happened to me one time, that I have some
Mhm.
parents that wanted the kids to travel the world. Their main goal about this dancing and the use of dancing in their life was to make them travel. Therefore, it was very easy to make a plan, right? You want to travel the world, you don't do the local competition. Maybe you do once or twice just to try something. You want to
Mhm.
travel the world, let's make a calendar of competition where we really go and travel. And of course, there are other factors you have to see. The kids are busy at school and stuff like that, so we gotta pick the events that matches well with their calendar, with their schedule. And so then maybe in that case finance was not the main element, right? But still, even this couple that has this wish doesn't want to waste money. So the point is, no matter what are your availability, you still want to make sure it's efficient.
Mhm.
Again, like a business, there are millionaires. It doesn't mean
Mhm.
that they go there and they throw money like that, right? They still want to have
Mhm.
a plan, and has to be make sense.
Mhm.
So I think, though, it's very much responsibility of the teacher, because the kids, of course, have no clue. The parents don't necessarily follow this logic, don't necessarily understand this logic. They maybe never been dancers in their life. So it's very important that the teachers show up and say, look, I would like to talk to you about, what do you guys expect? What are your expectations from dancing? What would you like your kids to do? Why you are signing them up? Why you
Mhm.
like them to do it? Just because they like it? That could be. Or
Mhm.
most of the time, I see parents are involved more
Mhm.
directly. Luckily or unluckily, depends on the situation. But the point is communication. Like, you
Mhm.
gotta talk. And I see some people are willing to do it, some people are less willing to do it, but I think a good mentor should do it, period.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, kind of like establish a safe space to speak out, and talk about the important things, right? Because they are gonna come up anyways. You're gonna
Right.
keep it in yourself and get frustrated later, or you just come and say, this is what I would like. Is this possible? Isn't it possible? Let's kind of see different options. Should we go this competition or that competition? Maybe we kind of hold back now and then go more later, right? Something like that to
Yeah, to make a plan of strategically that makes sense, you know? Yeah, I agree. I think that, and this is only the competition, right? Because of course, I don't want to go ahead. Maybe you have this in the plan of the day, but dancing is about many other things. I mean, even just the attire and stuff, the stuff you buy are expensive, right? When you buy a suit or a suit, and the girls have buy the dresses and the shoes and the hair and makeup and the stuff, right? I mean, it's not a cheap hobby. Let's put it like this. It's not a cheap hobby.
Yeah.
So
what do you think? So what are the major expenses, right? Lessons, trips, attire,
trips,
dress?
of course, are the big stuff, but then the attire in general, the dress and the shoes, and for the girls, I mean, these girls have so much more expenses. I feel for them because all the hair and makeup every single time they go to a competition. There must be also their hard work, because I learned back in the days how to do the hair to my dance partner. That was the way we learned how to save. And I know about a lot of girls that learned to do very well on themselves so that they could save the money of, doing every comp $200-$300 for, doing hair and makeup.
Yeah, it stacks up,
That's
right?
easily thousands of dollars every year. Like you don't even count them, but it's a lot. So definitely for kids, I suggest that they have some time, the teacher. Again, it has to come from the teacher. Otherwise, it's very difficult. But the teachers will say, all right, I remember my teachers did like this with me. They closed us in a room with Lella. Lella was the Italian fashion stylist, very big back then.
I remember her, yeah.
And they forced us to have a sort of a seminar. We all learned a couple of styles to do hair. Nothing that fancy, just two. I remember there was one I learned to do a nice knot on the top, was actually not even that simple, but we learned it. And for
maybe you can teach me.
Yeah, I totally forgot, because now I got
I see.
Now I got very spoiled. But back then I used to be good. And for 2-3 years we didn't spend any money. I mean, we were buying our own hairspray, stuff like that, of course, the minimum. But it's a big cut when you don't have to do your own hair and makeup. The hair of the man, not even a question. Like nowadays, I see there is a lot of people that do the hair of the man. And at my time, it was, maybe for you was different. In Russia, I know that they used to do it a lot. In Eastern Europe, in general, they used to. But for us, a man that goes to do the hair was even strange when we were like, it was a thing. You learn to do your hair, that's it. Then now it seems to be a little bit more normal that also there is the hairstylist for the man, for the girl. Then the makeup, they would learn. My partner back then when we were kids, she learned how to do it herself. Sometimes the mom would help. That's also big saving.
Okay, great. Maybe let's kind of switch gears a little bit. So let's talk about the second category of everything good.
Yeah, sure. I'm checking just here if
everything works.
Yeah, no, I wanted to check if there was some question, and Stefano is always there putting some fun stuff.
I see. He already knows everything, so he can just make a joke.
Yeah, he still belongs to the category of the kids. I am the other.
Okay. So why don't we talk about maybe second category, like an adult dancer, right? This would be, let's say you start dancing in the college, right? So I know in America it's very popular in USA to do, there's a lot of college teams, a lot of college dancers, right?
Yeah.
Maybe adults,
Yes.
Social dancers, maybe amateur dancers that want masters, right? That want to, maybe they start dancing when they were 18, 20, right? And they are trying to catch up, right? So I think for them, I think one of the main things is consistency, right? Because I understand, like your life happens and then it starts, and many things happen at work or in your family, or other things. And sometimes I see that consistency is what is going to make you better in the long run, right? Whatever your frequency is and whatever your budget is, you kind of stick to it. Let's say for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and then you want to take a little time off, you maybe take it. But sometimes I feel like people are like, they do 2 months and then 1 month off and then do 1 month and then 2 months off, or they are like, again, a little bit like scattered, right? So, and then they end up not achieving what they want in the end, right?
Yes, that's also a very particular topic because here in San Diego, I do help probably 7-8 couples that are from the UC San Diego, right? And they are all very good actually, and motivated and serious and consistent. Here, the situation is slightly different, of course, than the kids. Communication with your coach is still the main important thing to make you save money. That's what I believe. I believe in general, you have to communicate with your coach, with your mentor, so that you can have a plan and a strategy that makes you efficient, makes you get the type of experience or journey that you actually want, rather than just go fishing like that, right? So that's the most important thing.
So, but you mean like picking the events, or what do you mean by that?
Again, like I mean that if a couple comes to me, and this is what we do, I ask them, now they are adults, so now we can have a conversation directly, and I ask them, what do you expect from your dance journey? Okay, because your dance journey is your experience, right? Whatever we do it for, we are having a certain journey, right? And we expect something, right? What do you expect? You expect to become a international level competitor at a certain point, or you expect to learn as much as you can, to dance as best as you can, and that's it. Or maybe some of them, they even do it because eventually they want to be professional, they want to open a dance studio, like understanding what's a little bit the deepest reason behind what they do, because then you can understand, okay, and you can start, as you said, make a strategy and understand, okay, maybe this year, for what you're saying to me, I would say that this year you should probably focus on that, which, for example, is as much mileage as possible on the dance floor, for instance. Then you would take 15 local competitions, easy, doesn't conflict with work, you don't have to fly, you don't have to take hotels, stuff like that. Again, no matter what it is, now I'm just throwing up random examples, but it has to have a relevance with what are your expectations towards the journey that you're going to have. When it has, you are satisfied and you are not going random. And as a consequence of that, you are efficient with your expenses. So again, the communication is the most important thing. The difference that is a little bit, I see it a little bit restricting, is that when you have kids, the parents, some of them, not all, but they see this dance journey a little bit as an investment, meaning they approach it as a thing like, I'm putting this money to my kids' development, and hopefully that is going to pay back. Not necessarily that they become dancers, but that they can become professional, but it's part of their growth, okay? So you're a kid, you put money in it. I have a stepson, we do the same thing, okay? So when we always think that it's something, it's going to, almost an investment, right? Actually, a real investment on the kid, right? When you are an adult and your life is already kind of on, you have some direction to go work-wise, professionally, stuff, right? You cannot really see it as an investment. And therefore, it's much easier to consider our dancing business something kind of expensive. Like these people that I meet and I teach to, it's not that they cannot afford it, but the private lessons and the traveling and making a tail suit, it sounds very expensive to people that never done this kind of activity before, like again, adults. Then you speak with an adult at 20 years old or 25 or something, and they say, you gotta do a suit, it costs $2,000. They say, what are you talking about? $2,000, it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I've noticed, okay, with the people I connect with, right? It's so you would rather try to go on Amazon or somewhere and try to see if you find something that can kind of make up for it. And then it doesn't really do the same job. And don't let me start with the dresses of the girl, right? Of course, you that's very expensive, and you start finding the cheapest thing. And nowadays you can find literally on Amazon $50 ballroom dresses that then they don't even stay on you, and then of course you're not satisfied because you don't look good on the floor, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's about communication, so people are not, that they don't find themselves with this reality of all these expenses and all this stuff. And I agree 100% with you with the consistency. That's on a practical level is the most important thing. Here in San Diego now, I am very lucky because these guys that I'm teaching, they are very motivated, and they, after a little bit of talking and stuff, they started to run these Sunday rounds at the studio, a local studio in San Diego. Every Sunday they meet for 2 hours. And because teachers normally don't work on Sunday, even I don't feel like really working on Sunday, right? But eventually we are already like maybe 5 or 6 professionals. So we try to give ourselves like turns, you know, and eventually every week there is someone that follows these rounds, and, you know, it's very inexpensive, but at least you have a professional looking at you when you do rounds. I mean, that I'm very proud of them that they did this, because, you know, they had to make it happen and try to ask a few teachers if they would support and come, you know, and sometimes again, it's not a money-making machine, right? It's more of a teamwork effort to give them consistency. And that's happened to be very good and very efficient. They every week they feel like they do almost a competition, because the way we run the rounds is like a simulation of a competition. Very inexpensive and gives consistency.
Yeah, I think also, you know, like for some people, is especially in the beginning, maybe you're not that serious, it's normal, right? You have some kind of new hobby. So I think it's also smart to start slow and start like a little, you know. But I think just like you said, the mileage, that's important, you know, and college kids can attend college competitions, and they do,
Right.
and they are very nicely attended. It's great, you know. And then I think that's a very good beginning point, you know. And then for some people that's good, you know, they just kind of have this maybe college dancing experience. It's a social activity, and, you know, I'm sure they can find you know, I understand, you know, for me and you, we are used to, like, you know what, I want it to look like the best, you know, and why I want to invest because we love it, you know, and we like I'd rather like save on other stuff and have like a nice tail suit. For example, I remember, you know, back in the day, like that would be amazing. You know, I want to make like a tail suit in Italy. Wow, you know, I never done it. That sounds like amazing. But, you know, it's not for everybody. So, and maybe it doesn't need to be your first tail suit like that, or, you know, first one doesn't need to be so complicated, right? And like you said, I think the mentorship and just asking questions, you know, to people who have done it before, who have made suits, you know, and how much does it cost? And maybe you know, the tailors can offer you a deal or something, Black Friday or something, you know, could save you some money. And I think that, of course, it's kind of like you know, kind of like I don't know, like a car, right? So yeah, it's expensive, but it's gonna serve you for a couple of years, right? Like a tail suit, and car even longer. But tail suit is gonna be, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years. Just make sure you take care of it and maintain it right, so that can save you money as well, right?
You said very good. Like, just because we're talking about tips to save, right? I want to share. I'm sure you were doing the same. Like, when in order to keep your tail suit good, right? I used to wrap the hanger with towels, so that it would maintain the
like
shape of the shoulder.
Yeah.
Nowadays you can buy; they are already kind of puffed, but that's very important. Like, I see it on my own, especially I actually learned it more in an adult age. But my last suit, I think I had it for 2 years and was perfect. Like, literally, you can keep it for a long time. We are men, we are lucky, because girls, of course, it's obvious when you keep the same dress for too long. You must find
cannot do that.
Way to recycle, okay? But with men, just have your hanger wrapped with the towel, so to give a shoulder nice puffy, and let it hang. And also, one suggestion that I want to give is that don't keep it on your body too long. Also, when you're at competition, if you're at competition, you're not dancing, take it out. Sometimes I even roll it inside out. Like, I roll the sleeves the other way, so it kind of stays and hangs a little bit and dries, and then you put it back. You keep it always on that hanger, and that helps a lot. Then we used to have, probably you did this the same, right? The natural steaming with the hot bath You know,
Water. Yep.
we will make the hot water steaming in the bathroom and leave it there, and it goes itself because also the actual
Take out the
ironing.
sweat. Yep.
So
Yep, for sure.
that's also some money saving. But again, what you said also before, right? With some mentorship, it totally makes sense that you you don't want to buy a brand new. But but if you do it with your mentor, right, he's gonna look around for you. You know, he's gonna try and help you. Maybe find someone that is getting rid of a very good suit at a good price. And like this literally happened to one of my students. I think he bought something like maybe for, I don't know, $400, $500 was kind of cheap, right? But wasn't able to use it for after 2 or 3 comp because it wasn't good. It really wasn't looking good. Therefore, then he bought a second one. We found it. It was better. It cost $800, which is still a good price. But you know, now he can use the suit for 2 years if he keeps it well. So what is more expensive? It was definitely more expensive, the $400 of the wrong suit versus the $800 of the right suit.
Yeah.
Again, but you cannot do it alone because, of course, you're new, you're fresh. What do you know?
Yeah.
That's why mentorship is important.
Okay, good. So, and then let's go to our last category. Let's say the pro-am dancers, right? So, you know, you have your dream, you want to learn dancing, but you don't know if you can. Maybe you're 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, right? 70, I don't know, 20, doesn't matter. You know, how do you approach it like the right way? What do you think from financial point of view?
That's a very good question, and I would say that the base concept is always the same. Like, I need to understand what this person is expecting out of this journey. Here there is probably more work to do though, because the more
maybe sorry to interrupt. Maybe let's talk a little bit about the expectation, right? Let's say somebody come to you, oh, Oreste, you're so nice, I saw your other student, oh my god, amazing routine, I want to do the same. I'm the beginner, but I think I can do it, and let's go.
Well, that happens a lot. And my job as a teacher in that case, because then I become the professional partner on top of being a teacher of that person, is to be plain and understand that, is this what you want to do? You want to dance at that level, all right? So with my consciousness, of course, and my professionalism, all of us, not me specifically, we have to say what's gonna take to do that. And now here people can have different opinions. Because if you see the student as an ATM machine, of course, yes, let's do it. 10 competition in open level, bam, like this. No, you gotta be, I believe that you have to say that's what you want to do. Okay, so that's what I think it will take to do it. And here is very important to be good at communicating, because if the conversation sounds like you're putting the student down and forcing her to be on a low level, it's not gonna work. That student is gonna feel only
bad taste in the mouth.
But if you use her own word, is a little communication tip. You use her own word, let her understand that that's the journey that leads her to exactly where she wants to be, right? Then we are talking the same language. Actually, if a student comes to me and tell me that, it's kind of easy for me to let her understand that anyway there is a certain graduality in that journey. Different is if the student come to me and say, I don't really care about dancing, I just like to do the fancy move and I just want to swing around and look like a princess. Right, in that case, it kind of makes sense to do whatever she wants, but I'm not sure I want to do this because this is not the part that excites me about the work. But what I get excited is to bring a student from a certain level, determine where she want to be, and then being the one responsible to fulfill this gap.
Yeah. Why I brought this up, because we one time you mentioned it, right? So the student, we are suggesting, this is what we're suggesting. Okay, you come to the teacher and he's gonna mentor you, right? So I'm kind of trying to give you like from my point of view, sometimes unreasonable expectation, right? So the student sometimes, I mean, there's, more extreme cases and less extreme cases, right? And the same thing goes for kids, sometimes parents would bring kids, you know what, here is my child, we're going to come one time a week and we expect them to win, for example, right? Which is unreasonable expectation, right? So then you should communicate and tell, okay, I mean, we're going to do our best and we're going to try to help you, but most likely this is not going to be possible, right? Because it's going to take more time and more effort from you to get to this level. And the same applies for, let's say, for the pro-am student, right? If you want to do the 500 pivots and then stop in the end, this is it looks great and it's amazing, but it needs to be done right? And you need to sort of graduate to this level, because if you just do it like this, you're gonna maybe hurt yourself. And as a teacher, I need to tell you that it's not good, and it's not good for me, as a teacher as well, right? Because we are two bodies dancing so together. So of course you get the shortcut already when you dance with the pro teacher, right? It's a shortcut to the amazing level, right?
Exactly.
But I think we also need to communicate as teachers that there is going to be a journey, right? If you think of, and sometimes you are a pro student and you watch a different students, oh wow, she's so good, and I want to do the same today. But you didn't realize that this person is dancing for maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years. You don't realize that this person is, took, I don't know, like hundreds of coachings throughout their competition life. Of course, not in 1 month, but throughout 5 years, 10 years, they have gathered a lots of tools in their toolbox to dance like this, right? So it's going to take a time, right? So from the financial point of view, don't try to rush ahead, because you're going to miss some of the important chapters in your story, right? You want to pass every chapter and celebrate and have fun and enjoy every level, right?
And sorry to interrupt, but if you make it on the expenses point of view, because it's a little bit the topic, right, of the conversation, right? It's very easy. I think that if a person is medium talent, meaning not necessarily a super talent, okay, you literally can do one season for each close level, one in the bronze, one in the silver, one in the gold, and to the open. In 4 years, you can do a good open. I'm pretty positive. If you have a student that is more talented, you can do even a little bit in less time. It has, before you skip to the new level, you have to dance the actual level that feels very easy. So let's say you start close bronze. If you are very talented, and after 2 or 3 months, it already feels very easy. But when I say easy, I mean that you do it good. You do it with a good amount of quality, let's say a good quality, and you do it that kind of effortless, kind of course, you know what I mean with the term. Okay, that we don't have to necessarily finish the entire year. That means you're good. You can go to the next. But you have to trust the teacher that he will really tell you if you're doing it good or not, right? So instead, if the person will start in an open level, like that happens often, you end up definitely spending more money, because you never actually get to arrive to the good open level. You just won't, because the routines and the movements are complicated. You cannot learn the basic concept on a difficult pattern. So also there, I try to always explain this. Say, if you start now the way I say, in 3 or 4 years, you are a very good open. If you start now the way you say, in 3-4 years, you are still kind of the same like now.
Yeah.
And if they see it, good. Then they start they start knowing where we are going. Again, mentorship and communication is still the main thing. Because if you let the student be in that state of mind where she feels kept down for no apparent reason, or for a reason that she didn't understand yet, then you have a problem. You have an enemy in front of you. You don't have a partner. So the communication, that's where it becomes really skillful. But I agree 100% with you, because you can being with a pro teacher is already the biggest shortcut you can have. You cannot make it shorter than that.
And I think you need to be honest with yourself. Let's say you're talking, okay, 1 year, how to check if I pass the bronze, you need to be able to do it solo. I understand, of course, not as good as with your teacher, but you need to be able to do something, right? If you are like, oh, I can't do nothing, then okay, we have a little bit of issue, right? This means that
Right.
you have not internalized this information into your body, right? If you can
Yeah.
just, I give you something, you say, oh, do this, and you do it, oh, you got it, right?
Yes.
So, and like we kind of go back to the how to reduce the expenses, right? It's like you said, slowly, going from level to level, and the slow way is the fastest way. Right?
Exactly. The slow way is the fastest because they perceive it slow from their point of view, but we know that that's the real fast way. Because again, you said you have to be able to do it your own. Now, on that, there is a big, how to say, fear of dancing alone, right? So, and this fear is real. So it's not that they are stupid or anything, right? This is a uncomfortability that they feel when they have to do stuff themselves, right? So again, even there is the job of the teacher to empathize with that uncomfortability and find a creative way to make the student feel safe enough, comfortable enough to get to do that. Give not you, Carlis, I'm speaking in general.
Yeah, just in general.
Give the student the right motivation to do it and the right praise once she did it, so that then it becomes an achievement. I always say to my students, I say, look, you will never have to perform alone. You will never have to show to anybody how you dance alone. Just I need to understand if you got it. So let's do it a couple of times. Maybe I give the hand first if there is a balance issue, right? I mean, you have to gradually bring it there because the student, again, needs to be guided, and in exchange, that's how I like to see it. In exchange, then there is trust and respect. And so if I say we gotta do the close bronze, we do the close bronze. And you have to trust me when I say that now you are ready to move or you are not ready to move up yet. But again, it saves you money. If you do it the right way, eventually it saves you money. I think it's really not that, as I said in the beginning, with a medium level, with 3-4 years, you end up being a good open level with a medium talent. And often we also come across good talents, like, of course, they are not like dancers that started when they are kids like us, but people that kind of are pretty much self-aware of their own body. They can do it even quicker. So eventually you save, because saving is not only paying less. Saving is getting more with what you pay.
Exactly. So that's a good point. I forgot what I wanted to say, but
yeah, sorry. So I just talked you over you after. I was inspired when you said that.
So. No. We're just talking. So kind of the same idea. We need to talk to your teacher, like you said. That's a very good point. Have a reasonable expectation that needs to be communicated. There needs to be structure. You need to be consistent. You need to learn, right? And eventually you will get there. Just right. Don't rush.
Exactly. Yeah, there is no rush, and this is again. But the pro-am have a good budget most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time, people that are already sort of accomplished in life. They have made a certain success, and they want to do it for multiple reasons. They want to learn how to dance, obviously. They want to feel more comfortable. They want to feel more confident. They want to look beautiful. They want to feel excitement. There are many deeper reasons for what they do it, right? And sometimes they are not fully aware of that. So that's why the communication is important. So the teacher becomes also a trusted figure, and then the expenses are that's why sometimes it feels like we are not talking anymore about the money, but the money follows the relationship that you are having in your community, right? I mean, I think it's like this in life as well. Like, your income is a consequence of the relationship that you have at work, even in your family. It's always a human interaction. So the more the quality of the human interaction is, and the better the financial aspect of it will be. Because also I see there are unfortunately a lot of pro-am students that the teachers don't really care how they look on the floor, and they maybe just limit themselves to teach them dancing, and eventually these girls are kind of desperate. They try dresses here and there, they buy a bunch of stuff that they never use. I am into this business I am into this business because I help people recycling their dresses, right? The pre-owned dresses. I have a lot of students that just come to me and say, I got this dress, I never use it. Like, what do you mean? Like, my students, they don't get dresses that they never use it. Because when we get something, we get it for the plan. We get it for what we need it. Like, everything is calculated, everything is organized. So you don't never get to spend money for nothing, right? This is an example, but it applies on many other stuff. Anyway, that was inspiring. I feel like I saved money myself with this conversation.
Oh, good. Yeah. So, yeah, it's like, things of course cost money in the world, and now with the inflation, everything gets a little bit more expensive, which is normal, so things are getting more expensive, and dancing is like any kind of a physical skill lesson you take. If you want to learn to play golf, if you take a private lesson, it's going to be quite expensive, right? Because you learn this very particular skill that is not easy to attain, right? And the teachers have paid even more than you actually to attain the thing that they teach to you, right? Maybe let's say whatever professional dancer costs, I don't know, in the USA, I don't know, $100, $120, $130, $40, $50, $60, I don't know, $170, right? But the top coaches in the world is like $250 or $300 even, right? I don't know, even more maybe now.
Yeah.
So now why it's like this? Because you get to feel how it feels like, this is a shortcut. It's very difficult for you to just watch the video and say, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do like that. I mean, yeah, it might look like this, but it's not it at all. Right?
That happens a lot in the second example with the university people. They do that a lot. They see videos and they try to copy.
So when you get this time with your teacher, right, and it sort of costs, of course, a lot of money, right? But you get to the source, right? And you can do it, and you can take it within you, and now it's your skill. Slowly, you can become really, really good, right? It just takes time.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think that also to a little bit to close even in general this topic is that like sometimes I think that people sometimes pro-am students in general, sometimes they don't understand something very, very simple. You have a body, and this is your tool. You dance with this, and it's yours, like you are in charge. And unless you have a mobility, a disability of some kind, or a mobility issue, you are perfectly capable of doing any kind of movement. Like your body knows how to move. You know what I say? Like you just have to develop the coordination and the awareness of the specific type of moving that we do in ballroom dancing. So I think even just simply realizing this would be money saving. Because once you realize that you are, I mean, it might sound a bit cliche, but I think that people sometimes they see their actions, the actions that they need to learn in ballroom dancing, like, I don't know, like something out of this world, like when they speak about CBM and CBMP, like something outside of us. This is our body. So every action, I just need to understand how does it feel inside my body to do this thing that my teacher is describing. And then I have to aware intentionally doing it with my own body. And if I'm not sure if everybody can relate with what I'm saying, but this I always try to explain. And sometimes I have the eyes like, oh, what you're talking about, I don't really understand. But I think that I just have to find maybe a better way to say it. But I think that when a student realizes this, you grow so much faster and efficiently. there is a lot of copying that happening. Like they want
Mm-hmm.
to dance with somebody else's body.
Mm-hmm.
They're really realizing that it's my body that I'm moving around, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a realization that itself will make you save money, just
Mm-hmm.
because then everything what you receive in lesson is about how you move your own body. So be
Mm-hmm.
friendly with it, like feel it, talk to it, move it, and talk with your teacher. Again, the communication is crucial.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think we had a very good call, very good
Yeah,
talk. And why don't we recap, right? Everything that we talk about. So
go
I
ahead, do
think
the recap. I'm good with the big talking, but with the recaps,
so I'm thinking number one, structure, right? Understand what are you doing for what, right?
very good.
And that pretty much applies to all our categories, right? Young amateur couples, kids. Structure, maybe for the kids it's more structure in the mind of the teacher, communication with the parents, and adequate expectations, right? uh, Unbelievably amazing result requires unbelievably amazing effort,
That's
right?
right.
So there needs to be correlation, meaning that you can't expect for little to get everything, right?
Yes.
Expectations, structure,
And I
and
would
then
add learning the skills to save, like, try to learn how to do your own hair and makeup, how to keep your
Mhm.
stuff good, because when you're a kid, then you will do this forever. So I think this, what we spoke a little bit about is a very important point to keep in the summary.
Yeah. So for the next category, we talked about, like you said, your student was trying to get a used tail suit or smoking, right? So
Yeah,
that's a great way to save because those tail suits sometimes are not that used at all, right? They might be still amazing shape. And if they fit you just right, you can find a really good deal. And you have the company that does that for female dresses, right? I don't know, maybe men's suits as well. I'm not
yeah. We
sure.
don't do men's suits yet, but eventually we will. There is not really much going on with suits in here. Like people stick to
Mhm.
them a lot, which is good.
Yeah. So then we talked about find a community, right? So you can dance, let's say, without having private lesson all the time, right? Group
Exactly.
classes,
It is crucial
rounds,
at this stage. Yeah.
social events, which can save you money and you can still enjoy a lot and you can still get better, which is a part of the ingredient, right?
Sure.
And then for the pro-am students, patience, right? That is gonna get you to the goal.
Yes.
Um, Planning, consistency. Don't do for 2 months, then don't do for three, then come back for two, then go away for six, uh, again, I guess it depends on your goals, right? If your goal is just to have some fun, that's totally fine. You are the
Yeah.
boss of your life, no worries. But again, expectations, right? Don't expect to because as a teacher, right, we also look at the student and we think, okay, what are you here for? If you kind of came for 2 months, I'll give you some fun, but I know that you're not going to be here for 6 months, so there is no point in for me to teach
Exactly.
you a structured, planned out lesson plan that follows a thread and gets you there. Because if you stop here, then I'm thinking, okay, I'll just give you a little bit for fun, right? Because you're not really serious, right?
But even there, with communication, right? You can make you as a teacher, you can understand if you know that you have 2 weeks of time, let's say, and
Mhm.
then you leave for 6 months. Then you can you can decide with the student, not you, Carlis. Again, I speak in
Mhm.
general. What it is that we can do in 2 weeks that can actually give you some benefits. What it is that
Yeah.
I can give you in 2 weeks that maybe in the next months that you're away you can possibly practice and I don't know, do something with it. So at least also the time pass easier because you
Mhm.
are doing something for a goal. And again, those are money that produce something, and so relatively is a saving, right? So we said I think that for the Pro-Am summary we need to
Mhm.
do this thing that
Yeah.
not only saving is not only how much you don't spend, but how much you get more with what you spend. So to
Yeah.
make all
The
the time
value,
the
right?
value, yeah, the value, yeah.
Exactly. If you spend a lot of money, but you didn't learn much or you didn't get much enjoyment out of it, bad value, right? If you spend smart, but get amazing value, lots of fun, lots of enjoyment, great value.
Right, right. That
Yeah.
was fun. I actually help even myself to clarify this aspect. by talking.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Thank you.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, we can do another call sometime soon.
Yeah, anytime. Maybe we can do a sort of a poll or something and see if there is some sensitive topic that people like to discuss. I
Yeah.
think the money was very important because it is an expensive hobby or sport or discipline, however you wanna call it, and
Art. Yeah.
it is important to be smart about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
Cool.
yeah, we can talk maybe about more how it is to grow up dancing in Europe. Maybe people in America are interested in how that journey goes. I can talk more about Latvia. I was in Russia. You
Yeah,
were in Italy.
we would make a very good call on that because
Yeah.
we grow up there and we had a lot of experience and stuff to talk about. So yeah, that could be a good example. I wish there were. I think that there is some like in the US now lately after the of course the awful conflict that is happening in Eastern Europe. Now a lot of people from Ukraine came, and I feel that there are areas in the US in which they are focused, concentrated, many dancers, amateur dancers from there, and they are doing kind of similar, I feel, to what we do, to how we raised up, and creating these communities in which they really push each other and go for it. It's very nice. And but also here in California, I see there are few in the Bay Area, there are few parts that are with kids very, very, very nice. So not so intense as in Europe, but I think it could get there.
Yeah.
Like lately I'm seeing very good dancers in the youth and stuff. Like I think it's much better than it used to be like 10 or 15 years ago. So hopefully we have a bright future. We'll see.
Great things ahead.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
It was nice talking to you.
Nice talk to you.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Yeah. See you next time. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye. Ciao.